Hello and welcome to Sleep is My Waking Passion, the podcast where we get real about sleep and how it shapes your life. I'm Dr. Alison Kole, a triple-boarded pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine physician who's learned to thrive despite having chronic insomnia. And now I'm here to help you do the same. Hello and welcome to a new season of the Sleep is My Waking Passion podcast. I am your host and creator of this podcast, and I'm Dr. Alison Kole. Today, I am reunited with Ms. Kayla Ireland. She is a woman living with both cerebral palsy and epilepsy, and, essentially, she's just an amazing human. So let's get into it. Whether you know someone with cerebral palsy or not, I want you guys to stick around and listen because you may feel like, oh, this doesn't really apply to me. But cerebral palsy can affect any of us. And it's as common as 1 in 345 children could be diagnosed with some form of CP. This means over 70 million Americans living in this country have some form of disability. And the chances are high that you will encounter this either in your family, your workplace, or your community at some point in your life. So this is really important to keep in mind when you meet folks who are living with CP. So, Kayla, thank you so much for joining me today. And I was just curious as to how your summer has been. I haven't chatted with you in a while.
My summer has been good. It flew by. How has your summer been?
I got to tell you, my summer has been fantastic. I've spent a lot of time with my kiddos, and I have some exciting news that I'm just waiting for everything to go in, but I'm likely going to be teaming up with another telemedicine company to see some more patients. So I am very excited for what the future holds. There will be more to come, I promise you. So without further ado, what I wanted to do is formally introduce Kayla, okay? Because really what she has become is she has become a powerful force. She is an advocate for inclusion, representation, and the limitless potential that is within each and every one of us. So how do I know this? Well, she is the host of the Kindly Neurodivergent with Kay podcast. This show raises awareness about neurodivergence. She is the office manager at Silver Speech, and she also co-hosts the Inside Scoop of Living with Cerebral Palsy, which highlights CP awareness. She also happens to be an author. That's right. She is a co-author of Living with Cerebral Palsy, which is a powerful collection of personal stories. This is led by Kyle Scott. She also co-hosts Rock the World with Kay and Michelle, a podcast dedicated to amplifying voices, breaking barriers, and celebrating resilience. Kayla is the communication assistant and a dedicated member of many committees for Little Britches Therapeutic Riding, where she is an avid an experienced horseback rider. Not to mention she's a college student, so she's going to community college right now. Kayla, you are a force of nature. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about Kayla's experience living with CP and living with epilepsy on top of that, and how these conditions can impact and are impacted by sleep.
Thank you for inviting me on and for the introduction. I look forward to discussing my relationship to sleep. For those who missed it, Alison was episode 34, Sleep, Holistic Strategies for Better Rest on Kindly Neurodivergent with Kay. She also aired the episode on her podcast, so I plan on doing the same when this releases.
Yay! Cross-functional collaboration. That is the best kind of collaboration.
Yeah!
So, let's start by level setting. What do we mean by cerebral palsy? So a lot of people are like, what is that, right? So let's define it. So cerebral palsy, aka CP, is a group of brain disorders that affects how a person moves and controls their muscles. It is caused by damage in the developing brain that can happen before birth, during delivery, or shortly after birth. Think of it as the brain's movement control center that's not working properly, which affects balance, posture, muscle tone, and coordination. CP happens to be the most common motor disability in childhood, and this condition doesn't tend to get worse over time, but symptoms can vary dramatically from person to person. So some people can have mild CP and they just may walk a little differently. That's all you notice, while others may have quite severe CP and may need lifelong care and assistance. So that's what we mean by the definition of CP.
Breathing at birth. I wasn't breathing at birth.
Ooh. Okay, so that probably contributed to it because we didn't have the proper oxygen getting to the brain. So can I ask you, what's one aspect of your sleep experience that you wish more people understood?
It's not misunderstood, but important to say my body never stops working. People with cerebral palsy work harder than neurotypical people just to do basic things. Move, breathe, speak. And that doesn't shut off at night. Sleep isn't just rest for me. It's how my brain and body recover from non-stop effort.
So how much sleep do you end up getting? How much sleep is enough for you, do you think, for you to feel rested the following day?
About 8 hours.
Wow. Okay. So what you're hearing is an example of we're humans and we all kind of need different amounts of sleep, and you fall into that sort of normal category, normal range, quote unquote, which we say is generally 7 to 9 hours for the majority of folks. So really, we're looking at least 8 hours of sleep for you. So that's really helpful information. So how has your relationship with sleep evolved throughout your life with CP?
Lack of sleep isn't good for anyone, but for me, it makes everything harder. I'm a left side sleeper, and when I'm congested or sick, I sleep with my adjustable bed elevated to help keep my airways clear and lower my risk of aspiration. Because I can't blow my nose accurately, congestion can make rest feel sleep difficult. For years, my nighttime clonazepam made me tired at night. But that side effect isn't an issue anymore. Still, daytime tiredness impacts my ability to fully participate in school, work, social life, or therapy. When I don't get enough rest, my motor skills become less precise, and my thinking slows down, making daily tasks more difficult.
What I would say, Kayla, is that what you're manifesting is exactly what happens to the rest of us. I tend to drop more things. My mood is impacted. None of us really function the way we're supposed to if we're not getting proper sleep. In fact, chronic sleep deprivation can kind of mimic being intoxicated. That's how uncoordinated we are in terms of our reaction time and other factors. So, you mentioned something interesting, which is clonazepam. So for those of us listening, a lot of people have heard of benzodiazepines. Clonazepam is in that family, and it's a medication that can be used for many things. In sleep specifically, we often may reserve it for people who have what we call parasomnias or behaviors that are occurring during sleep. Very commonly, for example, REM behavior disorder, but it can be used for things like managing seizures, controlling movement that occurs during the evening, spasticity, which can affect cerebral palsy folks, not to mention other psychiatric conditions like panic disorder or even OCD. So one of the key features of clonazepam is it has a long half-life, meaning you take one tablet and it lasts a long time in the body. But one of the effects can be that it can contribute to feeling fatigued and kind of tired during the day. May I ask why you were taking it, and do you think it's impacted your sleep at all?
Also known as Klonopin.
That's right.
I take it for seizures. Doctors and my family also say it relaxes my muscles just enough to sleep.
Yeah, so it's worked. It's sort of like an appropriate sleep aid, getting at movement and spasticity that can occur at night that make it hard to get relaxation. So I want to switch gears a little bit because in our first episode together, we spent quite a bit of time talking a bit about CP, but not as much time talking about your epilepsy journey. So I was hoping that you could tell us more about what's been going on with that.
I had seizures at birth, but they weren't recognized again until I was about 2 1/2. We now think I was having seizures, mostly falling asleep or waking up. My seizures range from brief staring episodes to full-on grand mal seizures. It took a while to find the right medication. I was on Keppra 3 times a day and clonazepam at bedtime for years. I stayed seizure-free from 2011 to 2022, until an isolated breakthrough seizure awake. As a sophomore, I successfully weaned off Keppra. Interestingly, studies show over 30% of seizures occur during sleep, especially focal and frontal lobe types. This shows how crucial sleep is not only for me but for many living with epilepsy.
Can you share more about the sleep-seizure connection in your life?
Lack of sleep isn't good for anyone. If I don't sleep well, my risk for seizures goes up. Poor sleep not only tires me but also impairs my motor control and cognitive functions.
How did your family help discover the sleep-related seizure issue?
My parents noticed when I was falling asleep or waking up. Those subtle moments were key clues. This made it clear that sleep is a shared experience. Families play an important role in noticing and supporting these challenges.
That is a great observation. So what advice would you give to families dealing with a child who has epilepsy?
Keep track of everything. Write it down. If your gut says something's off, push for answers. Ask for an EEG while remembering that unless someone has seizure activity during it, it'll come back normal. For example, my 20-minute EEG after my breakthrough seizure didn't give us any indication of why it happened.
That is such a good point, Kayla. Thank you for reminding us of that. So anyone listening, a normal EEG doesn't necessarily rule it out. You kind of have to capture it on the EEG. So sometimes it can be a bit of an expedition trying to really discover what's going on, especially if things are sort of not happening all the time or what we call intermittently, every once in a while. So Kayla, you've been incredibly open about your lived experience with cerebral palsy and how it affects sleep. From your personal journey and your advocacy work, how do you think the emotional and psychological toll of chronic sleep deprivation in children with CP gets overlooked or underestimated by families, healthcare providers, or even the kids themselves?
Of course, lack of sleep affects anyone's mood and mental health. For me, it's not just about physical fatigue, but also the frustration and emotional toll when sleep is disrupted.
Are there any daily strategies or sleep hygiene tips you use?
I like to drill in my adjustable bed on my iPad before bed. When I'm congested or sick, I elevate my adjustable bed. I have a mouth guard for TMJ, but it isn't safe for me to sleep with as I am at a high risk of aspiration, in addition to having a bite and gag reflex. In the morning, I like to have a cup of coffee.
Even folks with CP enjoy a good cup of joe, that is for sure. I am taking that home with me. We both are fellow coffee drinkers. I never touched the stuff until I went to medical school, and now I can't imagine my day without a cup of joe. It just kind of sets the tone for everything. So how does sleep connect to your identity as someone living with CP?
Sleep lets me be more me. It affects how I move, think, and feel. Prioritizing sleep isn't selfish, it's essential. Lack of sleep isn't good for anyone, and especially for people like me who have to work so hard just to live each day.
That is perhaps one of the most profound points of this discussion, because it is a universal. It doesn't matter who you are or what challenges you face, but folks with CP have extra physical challenges and they need sleep just like we need sleep. We're negatively impacted. That is escalated in the CP population. That impact, and epilepsy is universal. A lot of people have it, and you don't need to have cerebral palsy to have epilepsy. And lack of sleep will lead to more seizures, essentially. So it's really important to prioritize sleep because lack of sleep will lower the seizure threshold.
Lack of sleep isn't good for anyone. It can trigger me to have seizures, affect motor skills and thinking, and even make me look like I'm zoning out when I'm actually struggling to stay alert. Understanding sleep and communication requires patience and deeper awareness.
So what should families know about supporting sleep health for everyone in the household? Because you mentioned that your diagnosis of seizures really came from having a very caring and astute family. So they must have been up with you.
Sleep challenges affect whole families. 60% of caregivers of children with complex medical needs report major sleep disruptions themselves, which impacts overall household well-being. Churchill et al. 2010. When I was a baby, I slept in my parents' room so they could watch me. Later, when I moved into my own room, we have a camera for monitoring. After my breakthrough seizure in 2022, my first in over a decade, my mom slept in my room again for 2 weeks. Rest is never just about comfort, it's about safety and peace of mind.
That is so that is so valuable, Kayla, because safety and peace of mind we can often take for granted, particularly when we're living in a comfy, cozy, suburban neighborhood in America. But for a lot of people, including people who are living in this very country, they may not live in a safe neighborhood. They may not feel safe in their own homes. And what you're highlighting is a great disparity that affects not only people living with disabilities, but also those who are disenfranchised, those who are of a lower socioeconomic status, who, are living in urban environments where there may not be that sort of safety and connection, or even in an environment, even if it's in a rural area, where maybe the family life is such that you just don't feel safe at home. So it's something that we should be grateful for when we do have the opportunity and take advantage of being able to lean into sleep, because we come from backgrounds where we have the luxury of feeling safe in our home.
My mom could tell just by eyes.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
My mom could tell when I was going to have a seizure just by my eyes.
So that was your tell. Interesting. Okay. And that often people describe that there's something about them that changes, that they then know, okay, there's a seizure about to come on. So while we finish up, I was wondering if you could talk about what role should culture play in how we talk about sleep in disability spaces.
Culture shapes who is expected to rest and how. Disability, family, work, and medical culture all influence sleep. To honor these realities, sleep needs to be flexible and inclusive. Recognizing that lack of sleep isn't good for anyone, and honoring how it looks different for each person, can help build understanding and better support.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Kayla. This has truly been a remarkable discussion that we've had. I truly appreciate all the time and thought that went into preparing for this episode, and I look forward to sharing it with you so you can share it with your subscribers.
Thank you, Alison, for having me on.
The pleasure is all mine.
Struggling with sleep? Dr. Kole is here to help. Whether you need a comprehensive sleep coaching program, suspect you have sleep apnea, or simply seeking a second opinion, she's available for consultation in New Jersey, New York, California, and Georgia, with more states coming soon. Schedule your free 10-minute review of services today to find out which visit is right for you at AskTheSleepMD.com and start your journey to better sleep with a trusted sleep expert.
Please be advised that the Sleep is My Waking Passion podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for personalized guidance. For my full disclaimer, please visit AskTheSleepMD.com, and while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. Sweet dreams and happy listening.